Introduce our main speaker today, Dave P. from Boston, Massachusetts. Dorchester Saturday night meetings, 8 o'clock. Alcoholics Anonymous.
Good, yeah. Thank you, brother. Hey everybody, I'm Dave Perry. I'm an alcoholic. Hey. I apologize for rolling in here 2 minutes before the meeting starts. My buddy Nick and I, thanks. We misjudged the time leaving Boston, and I apologize for rolling like all hectic. Great for being here, though. Grateful to be asked to be here. Love doing anything for Alcoholics Anonymous. I consider it honors and a privilege. Anytime I'm asked to do anything, my sponsor taught me that early on, we show up. You know, when I first got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't feel this. I didn't feel like that. And by the way, thank you to your group for inviting me to this event today. And my buddy Nick, who jumped in the car with me from Boston and drove out here today. Where's Nick? Oh, there he is. There he is, Nick. He might not be taking the podium side, but he's carrying a message. You know what I mean? He showed up. He jumped in the car. From here, we're going to Allentown, Pennsylvania, doing anything tomorrow. So we're rocking, we're running, because that's what we do. You know, for a long time I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't feel this, didn't understand this, didn't want this. AA for me in the beginning, Alcoholics Anonymous for me for the longest time, it was the meeting I didn't want to go to, it was the group I didn't want to join, the book I didn't want to read, the sponsor I didn't want to get, and God knows the steps I didn't want to take. You know, that was AA to me. You know, I was miserable here. You guys were talking about a God of your understanding. I had no clue what you were talking about. Didn't want it. Didn't think it was going to do anything for me. And I was miserable in Alcoholics Anonymous for a long time as a result. Today, thanks to God-inspired sponsorship, I look at this whole thing totally different. I'm living this whole thing in a totally different way. My life has changed in ways I kind of try to describe to you today. But it's all different today, thanks to God-inspired sponsorship. I know today Alcoholics Anonymous is nothing but the showing up business, nothing but the making it available business, nothing but the message delivery business. That's all we're doing here. That's all we're doing. AA is when you cut it all down and shave it down to its basest form. AA is nothing but the message delivery business. This meeting, the coffee, the event, the chair, the setup, the breakdown is all designed for one thing: for us to carry a message. The message to the sick and suffering alcoholic. AA is nothing but the message delivery business. My sponsor told me that. He told me we're nothing but paper boys and paper girls for God. God writes it and we deliver it. It's not our message, not my message, not your message. It's God's message. He just chooses us to deliver it, to show up and make it available. And that's all we're supposed to do. My sponsor knew me. He says, Dave, I know what's going on. I hear what you're going to do. Let me show you right now. I know what you're about. He says, get me here. Understand me. We're not in the results business. We're not in the outcome business. We're not in the keep and score business, Dave. You don't get them sober. You don't get them drunk. You're not that powerful. You know what I mean? You're not that powerful. Our job is simply to show up and try to carry them. So try. Just try. You know, if my success depended upon the success of the guys I sponsored back in Boston, trust me, I'd be drunk this afternoon. I wouldn't be here. No, but that's not how it works. It's not supposed to work. Look at the 12th step. Having had a spiritual awakening as the. It's what will happen. It's the result, not a result, something that might happen if we're lucky. It's the result. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message. The 100 men and women who wrote this book and who put those steps in words for the first time on page 59 and 60 did not have to put that word try in there. They could have just said, we carry this message to other alcoholics. No, they say try because that's all we're asked to do. Try. You know, I heard a guy say it back in Boston one time. Well, I remember it was a Saturday afternoon conference. We held it in Boston at my home group's church. It was an Acts of Recovery back in 2003, and we had a guy up from Pennsylvania who took a podium, and I'll never forget what he said. He drove that point home to me. I got 12 years ago. And I still remember like it was yesterday. He gets up to the podium and goes, he says, I've been sober 20 years, he says. I've been sober 20 years, and in my 20 years of sobriety, I've sponsored over 200 men, he said. 200 men with 100% success rate. I'm there like, you gotta be kidding me. All my guys are drinking. I said, how you doing that? He goes, no, don't get me wrong. A lot of my guys are drinking. Matter of fact, some of them are dead. But I've been happily, joyfully sober for these 20 years, and I call that 100% success. He showed up. You tried. You know, my sobriety date is November 15, 2001. A little over 12 years, 11 months, and a couple days ago I came back to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I say came back, I've been here before. November 15, 2001 is not my first sobriety date. I was collecting them for years up to that, you know what I mean? Reset. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, my God. Years, 12 years. 12 years, in and out, 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 in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous. 12 years chronically relapsing. 12 years suffering in sobriety. 12 years watching it work for you where it ain't working for me. 12 years watching my life disappear and burning my life to the ground twice over. 12 years. In and out. And every stretch of sobriety I had during those 12 years, where I stayed sober a week, a month, a year. At one point I did 3 years taking no action. 3 years in Alcoholics Anonymous, doing nothing but coming to your meetings. So I thought that was the action you were talking about. I thought that's what you guys were talking about. Coming to my meeting, grabbing a cup of coffee, that's action! Taking no action beyond that. And every stretch of sobriety I had was all marked by the same commonality, you guys. I was miserable. Sentenced to sobriety. That's what it felt like. Sentenced to sobriety. Sentenced to Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, it was a prison sentence for me. I wasn't set free. You guys promised every night, promised me a new freedom, a new happiness. Sorry, I ain't getting that. You promised me I was going to be amazed before I was halfway through. I'm like, halfway through what? Lunch? My day? What were you talking about? I had no idea. I wasn't getting that. You know? I'm looking around and I basically go, oh my God, please tell me there's more to my life than this. If all I have to look forward to is hot coffee on cold metal chairs, hide out in church basements the rest of my life, shoot me now. I'm not going to make it. And I didn't make it. I was a meeting maker who wasn't making it. I didn't make it. I made meetings, but I wasn't making it. You know? And I know how to quit drinking. That's not an issue. I've done that 1,000 times. Quitting is, I got that down pat. I can quit any time I want. Can you guys show me how to stay quit? Can you guys show me how to not start again? Can you guys show me how to stay quit and stay comfortable doing it? That's my road there. You see, I can quit, and I get sober, and I grab my chair and my coffee. The problem is I can't get comfortable. And unless I get comfortable here with you guys, I'm not staying. Unless I get comfortable and trying to start to get the ease and comfort that comes from the actions that you guys are taking in here, beyond just grabbing a cup of coffee and a chair, I'm not staying. You see, because it's ease and comfort, it's waiting for me outside. It's in a bottle, it's in a pipe, it's in whatever I'm reaching for. And I'm going to get it. And I'll stick around here. And as a result, I'm in and out, I'm destroying everything good in my life. I'm watching it disappear in front of my eyes. I'm not finding any recovery. Sobriety's barely happening, and recovery's far from. And I'm miserably sober when I'm sober, if I'm sober. And that was my recovery. That was my sobriety. That was my 12 years in and out. 12 years of that. You know? But here I stand tonight. My God, here I am today. 12 years, 11 months, and a couple days away from my last drink. You know, and I'm here to report to you the truth. I didn't drive all the way down to New Haven here to lie to you today. You know what I mean? Battling rainstorms and bad weather and late and Nick behind the wheel and, you know. I didn't come all the way down here just to lie to you guys. This is where we can jump in the car. Yeah, full New Haven today, didn't we, Nick? Yeah, boy. Oh, yeah. Let's go do the same in Allentown. You know what I mean? No, I'm here to tell you guys the truth. The truth of the matter is this. I've been happily, joyfully sober for the better part of these last 12 years, 11 months, and a couple days. Happy and sober. Same sentence. Before it was one or the other. Make up your mind. Happy or sober? Which one? You know, I could never put those two together. This time around, I got it going. Happy and sober in the same sentence. Set free. Free from the obsession to drink, drug, self, set free. How is that possible? What's going on this time around that wasn't going around then? What am I doing this time around that's making this so markedly different than the experience I had 12 years in and out, in and out? It comes down to one word. Every time I speak, I'll tell you exactly what it is. One word and one word only for me. For me. Sponsorship. This time around, I got a sponsor. Novel idea, huh? I missed that along the way. I don't know how I missed that along the way. I got a sponsor. God-inspired, God-directed, God-centered, God-driven, God-reliant, God-conscious through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. The guy who wasn't afraid to tell me the truth from the first time we sat down. The guy looked me in the eyes and said, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you feel. If what I have to do, what I have to say, what we have to do together makes you a little uncomfortable on the way, he says, so be it. So be it. He says, I'd rather step on your toes before I stand in your grave. I'm going to tell you the truth. You've been lying all your life and people have been lying back. It's about time you heard the truth. He goes, you know, you think you got a problem with the drink? You don't. You think you got a problem with cocaine, crack on Dave? You don't. You got a problem with the judge, your boss, your family? You don't. You got one problem and one problem only. You want to know what it is? He says you're selfish and you're self-centered to the core. And until and unless you address that, until unless you examine that, until and unless you take action on that, you're not going to recover. You're not. It's going to just keep happening the same way it's been happening in and out, in and out, in and out for 12 years. You're going to get that all over again. I'm telling him, unless you take action on that, it's not going to happen. He says, my job as a sponsor is one thing and one thing only. It's real simple. I'm going to walk you down a path. He says, the pathway to power. And I'm going to take your hand, I'm going to hold your hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to hold my hand back. And trust me. Trust me till I can put your hand in the hand of God. And then I'm going to step away. And that's all I'm going to do. That's my job. Simple and simple and simple as that. That's it. I'm not the kind of sponsor going to tell you how to run your life. I'm not the kind of sponsor to tell you which means to go to, not to go to, where to sit, not to sit, who to date, not to date. I'm not the kind of sponsor going to have you call him every night. As a matter of fact, I'd really rather you don't. You know? He goes, I'm going to get you to God. I'm going to get you to God quick. Because that's your problem's a lack of power. It's not cocaine, it's not the drink, it's not the judge, it's not the boss. It's a lack of power. You got no power. I'm going to help you find one. And this time it's going to be bigger than you. It's going to be bigger than you. And so began the journey. You know what else that guy did? He turns to page 44 in this book. And he points out to me a line that I've read 1,000 times and never once saw. I never saw it. He says, David, we suffer from an illness which only spiritual experience will conquer. Guess I got to get me one of them. I got to get me a spiritual experience. I have no idea how, what, when, where. No clue. But I got to get me one of them. And the thing about an illness, we suffer from an illness. How is my drinking an illness? I'm just a guy who likes to get drunk every night. You know what I mean? I work hard, I play hard, rah, rah, rah. I can't understand why the whole world ain't joining me out there. How is that an illness? And if it is an illness, could I get a pill, please? If there was a spirituality pill out there, trust me, I'd take one. No, I take 2. I know how I go. You know? If 1 is good, 2 is great. Can I get 10, please? Let me get through the month with you. By the end of the month, I'll be shooting my spirituality pill. I just know what's going to happen with that thing. You know what I mean? It's going to go right in there. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. You know? Oh, this is illness. How about this, you guys? How about this? Check me in the hospital. Cut this thing called alcoholism out of me, and let me go home. How about that? Wrap it up. Call it a day. Let's just take care of this. 8 years ago, I had my gallbladder removed. Haven't really thought about it since. Don't hang out with other gallbladder sufferers. You know what I mean? Read books about gallbladderism. Go to meetings of gallbladder people. I don't do it. It's all done. They took it. It's over. That's the kind of illness I'm looking for. But no, not in here. Not if you're the whole in the soul alcoholic, the real alcoholic, hopeless variety alcoholic. That this book talks. That's me. I mean, who wants the kind of illness that requires we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as its solution? Who wants the kind of illness that requires that we do searching and fearless moral inventories, make amends and restitution, or whatever we harmed over the course of our entire lives as its solution? Or God forbid, thank you, lay our lives down for our brothers and sisters sick and suffering on a daily basis as its solution? I didn't want it. Show me. Show me an easier, softer way. There's got to be an easier, softer. I searched for an easy. 12 years looking for an easier, softer way. I didn't want this. There must be another 100 men and women who wrote this book. They thought they could find an easier, softer way too, didn't they? They couldn't. Why? Because this is the easiest. We got it. It's right here. It's the easiest, softer way. We got a thing called alcoholism here, guys. Catch it. Catch it. Those of us who can admit we're alcoholic, we get to recover. Those of us who continue to deny and deny and deny and deny, like me for a long, long time, we get to die from it. Those are the ones that die from it. As they go down fighting. I'm not an alcoholic as they're dying in the grave. He also pointed out something else in here. If you're an alcoholic holding the soul, real variety, hopeless variety, the real deal, you only get 2 choices. 2 choices. That's all you got. Page 44 tells me that. It's like I'm in a game show. Hey, Dave, be on door number 1 of life based upon spiritual principles. Be on door number 2, doomed to an alcoholic death. And I'm like, ugh. Can I phone a friend out there, please? Someone help me with this. I have a little trouble with this one. You know what I mean? I got my mother going, choose the spiritual principles, Dave. I'm like wondering just how bad an alcoholic gets we're talking about. Anyway, I need more information. Oh, the choices. So anyway, thank God he pointed these simple things out to me. I never saw them. I just didn't see them. What was it like when I first got to you guys? When I first walked into Alcoholics Anonymous, I was 29 years old. It was July of 1989 to be exact. On the outside it looked pretty good. On the outside it looked all right. I'm practicing law up in the North Shore of Boston. I'm working for a pretty prestigious law firm up in Linfield. I'm about 3 or 4 years into my career at this point. If you met me in a bar, you'd hear all about this 30 seconds, a minute into it. Trust me, I get that right at you. You know? I point out my $50,000 sports car parked right outside that window so we can all see it from the bar and the pool table. You know what I mean? It's important, you know. You know, we go back to my 4-bedroom, 3-story brick condominium back in my townhouse in Medford outside of Boston. I'd be wearing $800 suits. I have all the trappings of success all around me. All these glorious tales of courtroom victories, whether real or fancied, I didn't care. Didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I'd tell you it all. You know, but you also would have seen a hole in the soul. If I even knew it existed, I didn't know. But you would have seen a hole in the soul this wide. That all the drink, and all the drugs, and all the cocaine, glorious courtroom victories, shiny sports cars, beautiful townhouses, and $800 suits in the world just couldn't fill. Couldn't fill the hole. And at 29 years old, my bosses looked at me and said, David, either you get sober or you get out. They called me a disgrace to my law firm. And I fought them on that. Hindsight, clarity, a little work with that sponsor of mine and the help that you guys gave me along the way. I can look back with a little hindsight and clarity and tell you that they were right. I was a disgrace to my firm, I was a disgrace to my family, I was a disgrace to my profession, and I was a disgrace to myself. And the kick is that, you know, I didn't mean to be. I didn't want to be. It just kept happening. And I couldn't stop it. The one thing that was giving me any kind of relief in this world was in a bottle. It was also the one thing that seemed to be destroying everything good. And I couldn't put it down. So I went out and jumped on that plane in 1989. I flew out of Boston out to a place called Ephrata, Pennsylvania, to ARC, the Terraces, a 28-day rehab. You know, when you heard our friend, we read our preamble at our meetings. The only requirement for membership here is the desire to stop drinking. Well, that's a wonderful thing. Except I didn't have one of them. I had 3 bosses who had a desire. I stopped drinking. You know what I mean? I don't know what I was doing out there. You know, it wasn't going to work for me. But so began the 12 years in. Now look at those 12 years. What do I got to change up this time around that I want to do a little differently to find a little success around here? Here's the first thing. I walked in these doors, looked around these halls. I said, "Oh my God, I am smarter than all you people combined." Don't need your help, don't need your guidance, don't need your instruction, don't need your direction, don't need your sponsorship, thanks very much. Your 12-step program, no thank you. And your big book? Oh, too big, thanks. Woo! I wasn't reading it, it's a big book. Too big, I thought it was a novel. Light reading for the alcoholic. I had no idea what you were doing, all I knew was I wasn't picking it up. It's a book I didn't want to read, like I said. You know? So I'm going to flounder through this thing all by myself, you know what I mean? I wasn't taking any direction. I didn't need your sponsorship. Nothing. I wasn't doing it. I got this on my own. I can quit drinking. I got to quit. I can do that. Yeah. I don't need your help. You know, I had a guy pull me aside after a meeting one time back in Boston. It was in Stoneham, north of town. And I'll never forget what he said that night. You know, he goes, "Dave, I got to be honest with you, man. I never met anyone too dumb for this program. But my God, we bury assholes like you all the time. Too smart for your own good. You won't take a little direct. You're in and out of here. You're bouncing in and out. You're drunk. You're sober. You're drunk. You're sober. You're like a pinball through the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous, bouncing off everything and everyone. You won't let one of us reach out and help you. You got this thing all by yourself while you're drinking yourself to death." And I was like, "Hey, yeah, chill out, Phil. Come on, man. Hey, it's not that bad, you know." And I walked away from this guy. He's trying to save my life. I walked away laughing. You know. You guys promised me you never have to be alone again. You told me that. I didn't hear it, but you told me that. But I'm doing this on my own. That was a mistake. We don't have to do this alone. We don't do this alone. We need each other. We need each other. Second mistake, among many, but I'll tell you about the ones that come to mind, is I walked in these rooms back in 1989, convinced drinking was my problem. For the sake of this conversation, I'm talking about the drink, the drug, and all the things like it. They're on my table. They're all right there. But I tell you, hey, let's just call it the drink. I got a drinking problem. Everyone in my world is telling me I got a drinking problem. My mom and dad are telling me I got a drinking problem. My brother and sister are telling me I got a drinking problem. The best friends in my life, who are no longer in my life, were telling me I have a drinking problem. My coworkers, my clients are telling me I have a drinking problem. It's getting rough out there, you know what I mean? It's getting hard to get the job done, you know? So I said, okay, fine. You know, if I got a drinking problem, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the drink out of the equation. Problem solved. I'm going to quit drinking. Yeah, there's my soul. I'm going to quit drinking. Problem with that, I wasn't a problem drinker. I was an answer drinker. Life was the problem. Drinking was my answer. It set me free. There was something magic in that bottle. You guys know what I'm talking about. There was something powerful and magical and mystical and wonderful in that bottle that set me free. And I could have no sooner walked away from what that drink was doing for me than I could have flown to the moon. I loved it. A world that otherwise terrifies me. I'm walking smooth with a drink in my hand. I figured that out right off the rip. I didn't discover this years into my drinking. This is the way it was from the first night out. Can I take you back to October 73 for 1 minute? 13 years old, patch of woods in Reading, Massachusetts, before a junior high school 8th grade dance. 12 of us, 6 or 7 of my buddies and I decided we were going to get together and get drunk for the first time, stealing booze from my parents' liquor cabinet. We all met in the woods. I had my pickle jar full right there, you know what I mean? I did. I had a pickle jar full of whiskey. You know? And give me 15 minutes that night. 15 minutes. With that pickle jar in my hand. And my world changed. What a life change. I'm telling you guys, that is the life-changing moment. That defined it right there. To think that all these years later, I'm still talking about it, October 73. I remember like it was, I remember the night. I remember who was there and what we did. I remember the night. I had all the pain, precious problems. I had all the fears, doubts, insecurities any 13-year-old kid would have. I might have had a couple extra, to be honest with you. I was the goofiest little kid you ever saw. Triple lens glasses, big nose, buck teeth, 6'1" by the age of 7. You know what I mean? Every class had one. It was me. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. This is 25 years and $25,000 later. I'm not done yet. Still more to do. My uncle was goofing on me a couple weeks ago. I said, Uncle Paul, you got no right to goof on this. I spent $25,000 on this face. He says, what happened, Dave? You run out of money? You know? But give me 15 minutes in the woods that night. 15 minutes, man. It all changed. Now, I'm not saying the glasses didn't fall off, the nose didn't shrink, the teeth didn't straighten. I didn't drop an inch or two. You know what happened that night? As best I can describe it, and as clearly as I remember it, the fear went away. That's it. The fear went away. I liked you guys better when I was drinking. I liked the world around me, man. It was better when I liked me better. I liked myself better. I was okay when I was drinking. I was cool when I was drinking. I was fine when I was drinking. The glasses weren't even there when I was drinking. You know what I mean? I was okay when I was drinking. And I made a decision that night. I didn't even know I was making. I made a decision that night. You know what I decided? I decided I'm going to make that drink the most important thing in my life. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right here. I'm going to make that drink the most important thing in my life, and to keep it the most important thing. I'm talking the drink, the drug, and all the things like it. They march right up to first place as the years will go by. I'm going to make that the most important thing in my life. And to keep it the most important thing in my life, I'm going to pay a lot of prices. Prices. My seat in Alcoholics Anonymous, that shit didn't come free. Well, the heavy price tags hanging off that chair, heartache, misery, loss, frustration, career, jobs, houses, material, friendships, the tears in my parents' eyes, ultimately my freedom. I gave that up too. The prices we pay. My sponsor said, you know, Dave, you don't get all caught up in this what's right and wrong in life. Just ask yourself one simple question. What price are you willing to pay for your actions? Not the halo off. Forget about being good or being right or being righteous. Ask yourself just what price. Life's just one big price tag. What price are you willing to pay? You know? How can I best describe it to you, the price tag for me? I was 21 years old. I walked into a liquor store downtown Boston, Boylston Street. I walk to the back, I grab a 12-pack of Budweiser, I walk back up to the front, I plop down the counter, the guy looks at me, I look at him, he goes, that'll cost you $14.95. And every real friendship you've ever had. Okay. 31 years old, walk into a bar like a shot in the beard, please. Bartender looks at me, I look at him, he goes, that'll cost you $6, mister. In your marriage. I was 41. I was on Tremont Street, downtown. I walked into a liquor store, walked up to the counter, pointed to the top shelf right there. I said, like that favorite tequila, please. I'm drinking that Mezcal tonight. And the guy grabs the bottle, he pulls it down, puts it down in front of me. I look at him, he looks at me, and he says, that'll cost you $17.95. And you're licensed to practice law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I look at him, and I go, you know, sounds about right. I'll take the bottle, please. You know, prices we're willing to pay, huh? What'd your seat cost you? You know, what's the price tag hanging from that thing? Any freebies? Anyone getting here free? Crest of a winning streak, maybe? Hit the lottery, come to AA? No, none of that. I never see a hand on that question. What's up with that, you know? The price we're willing to pay. You get it. I don't have to go on with that. That's what it's about. So anyway, I get through high school, I get through college. 4 year blackouts for me. Wish I could tell you more. My friends said I had fun. That's awesome. You know, I go to reunions, they remind me. Yeah, you were good, Dave. You had a good time. Yeah, I did. I know I did. Yeah, you know. I graduated 4 years later with a degree in economics and a cocaine addiction. And off to law school I go. Busy. Yeah, things to do. You know what I mean? Let's go to school. Let's stay in school. School's good. Yeah, school. I wish I was still in school. I love school. I do law school. I get 3 years in, 3 years out. Pass the bar first time up. Now I'm out there practicing law. 27, 28, 29 years old. I'm into my career, 3 or 4 years. But here's where it's all falling apart. Throughout school, I'll tell you guys, I stayed a step or two ahead of the drink. I must have. I got through. Passed the bar. I must have stayed a step or two ahead, you know, despite the fact we smoked joints at lunch on both days of the bar exam. Don't know how I did that, but that's what it was all about. Just a step or two ahead, on the edge the whole time, you know. But at 29 years old, that wasn't happening anymore. I'm no longer in control. 29 years old, it's all falling apart. I'm 29 years old and I'm a man who has lost the ability to control his drinking. It's gone. I'm 29 years old and the power of choice has disappeared in my life. The drink is now telling me what's up. 29 years old, I live in a body that cannot take a drink safely and don't even know it as I pour a fifth down my throat every night. I'm 29 years old, suffering from an allergy to alcohol I don't even know exists. I don't know it. I'm poisoning my body. I don't even know it. I don't know what's there. I don't know the mental obsession. I don't know physical craving. I'm just drinking. You know, I'm 29 years old and I'm out of control. I'm living, one might say, to drink at that point. And when I live like that, I got to drink like that. When I drink like that, I got to live like that, and on it goes. And that's what my boss has said to me at 29 years old: either you get sober or you get out. I didn't know what to do. If I lost that job, I'd be unemployed, unemployable. I knew that. So simply and so, to save my job, I jumped on that plane in Florida, Boston, went to Effort, Pennsylvania for a 28-day rehab. And now I know there are a lot of God-inspired men and God-inspired women carrying a message of hope and a message of love and a message of recovery, a message of 12 steps. They were carrying a message of God 28 days in a row to me at that place. And I was hearing none of it. None of it. Why? Because we got a principle in here, guys. It's real simple. You can't say the right thing to someone who's just not ready to hear our message. You can't say the right thing. You could have Dr. Bob to my left, Bill Wilson to my right, and Lois pouring coffee, and I wouldn't heard a thing on Effort, Pennsylvania. Just wasn't ready for doing it. By the same token, Nick, you can't say the right thing to someone who's not ready to hear our message. You can't say the wrong thing to someone who is. Not when you're talking the language of the heart. Knowing the God, and you touch the God in me, and that magic we call recovery happens when one alcoholic reaches out to another alcoholic for the sole purpose, the power, the electricity, indescribable unless you experience it, to be quite honest. You know? The language of the heart kicking in. How many times has it happened to you? You're one-on-one with that guy, you're one-on-one with that gal, you're talking to that group, and all of a sudden, something comes out of your mouth you've never heard before, you never said it, you never read it, you never heard it, like, wow, that was good. My God, that was good. I got to write that down. It was good. And 10 minutes later, you can't remember what you said. It happens all the time to me. That's the language of the head, you remember it. Write it down 10 minutes, an hour later, the next day. Language of the heart, you can't even pull it out. That's because God, that's how it works. God pulls it out. You're working for Him. That person you're talking to needs to hear what He wants you to tell him. You know, and that stuff comes out. That's how it's been working for me. You know, and so goes those 28 days. You know, I didn't do a lot out there, to be honest with you. I just didn't do a lot. I did arts and crafts. I remember that. Yeah, we did. We did arts and crafts. That's the best I got. I love that. My only real memory all these years later, 28 days in a rehab, is we did arts and crafts. When I have this moment of clarity, when I look up at this table, the 17 tough guys and me sitting at the big table on a Wednesday morning, I go, what is wrong with this picture, guys? I'm a 29-year-old attorney from Boston sitting in the middle of Effort, Pennsylvania on a Wednesday morning at 10:30 doing spin art. Oh, shoot me now. This is what happened? Hey, could you please pass the purple? I need some color in this deal, you know what I mean? Anyway, 28 days later, 15 pounds heavier, some nice artwork under my arm, and now I'm back in Boston. What am I doing in Boston? Recovery! Recovery! I'm in recovery! Like, I'm not in recovery. I'm saying it because you're saying it. If you say it, I say it. That's how it was. My program of recovery was at, Say it, I say it. That's all. I'm bouncing getting out of here like a pinball. I'm out of my mind. I'm stock raving sober. Maybe not. It didn't matter. I might be drunk in a meeting. I might be sober in meetings. It did not matter. I was grabbing a podium either way anyway, whenever I could, because you had to hear me talk. I had to tell you what I knew, you know what I mean? And oh my God, I was talking to bumper stickers. Like, hey Dave, want to go for coffee? Whoa, easy does it. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing in here, I'm all by myself and I'm lost, and so began that journey of 12 years, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And like I said, I might stay sober a week, a month, a year, at 1.3 years. And I tell you that story because I think it's important. I stayed sober in Alcoholics Anonymous for 3 years, taking no action. No sponsor, no steps, no guidance, no direction, no spiritual principles, nothing. 3 years. And I say that story because it's important. Let me fast forward for a second. Let me take you to November 2001, my sobriety this time around. I am literally 15 days into my journey. It's November 2001. I just arrived at a place called the Miller House on Cape Cod. It's part of the Gosnell program. It's a therapeutic community. I'd be there for 4.5 months, unbeknownst to me at the time. But it's my first night there. And I tell you the story because I think it's a classic example of God using us with or without our permission. God does not need our permission to use any one of us anytime He wants. Willing or unwilling, conscious or unconscious instruments of a power greater than ourselves. And the classic example that day was this guy named Joe. Now, he was a counselor's aide at the Miller House. Back then, he's still there today. I can't tell you the thousands and thousands of lives this guy's touched. And whether he knows what he was doing that day with me, I still don't know. And I bet you if I had Joe standing right here, right now, I'd say, hey Joe, remember the night I get to the Mill House? And you told me da-da-da-da-da, excuse me, da-da-da-da-da-da, and all that good Joe's probably going to say, no Dave, I don't quite remember that. 12 years, 11 months, and a few days later, guys, I'm still talking about it. Still talking about it. Here's what he said. He said, Dave, that's all well and good, I'm glad you're back. But if all you're doing here is looking for one more day of sobriety, and you think that's all we have to offer, just one more day of sobriety, and that's all AA is going to give you, and he says you're doing nothing to change the man, you're taking no action, Dave, no real action to change the man that you brought in, to change the person you brought in. He goes, my God, Dave, isn't it just a matter of time? Isn't it just a matter of time? He says, how long can you hold your breath? How long? Doing nothing to change the man, doing nothing to change the woman, doing nothing to change the person that you brought in is just a matter of time, Dave. How long can you hold your breath before you're going to pick a drink back up again? And the guy was right. 3 years. That's what I got. My experience is I can hold my breath in here for 3 years. Taking no action whatsoever, watching it work for you and it worked for me, burning my life to the ground twice over, seeing everything good disappear. While I'm struggling in sobriety, 3 years hanging out sober in the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous before I can hold my breath no more. And I'm going to pick up a drink. 3 years. And what do? At the end of those 3 years? I did what anyone in this room who's relapsed did. Whether you stayed sober a week, a month, a year, or a decade, you did what I did after your week, your month, your year, or your decade. You did what I did after my 3 years. I made a sober decision that day. Had to be a sober decision. Of course it was a sober decision. I hadn't touched a drink for 3 years. I made a sober decision that day to pick that drink back up. Holding that drink in my hand that day, drinking was not my problem. I did not have a drinking problem that day. Hadn't had one in 3 years. I did not have a drinking problem that day. You know what my problem was that day? I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was my sobriety. My ugly, miserable, untreated, I can't stand it for another second sobriety, and my inability to live comfortably in it. I was solving the wrong problem. You want to know the leading cause of relapse? I'll tell you what it is. Sobriety. Bad case of sobriety. Every time for me. I got a bad case of sobriety going on. Give me a drink. Exactly the way it works for me. And you know what happens? Powerless? I was only going out for the weekend. I said to my friends, save that seat. Back my neck. Like I know. Like I have any control over this. I said that to someone. And that weekend lasted 9 years. And during those 9 years, I will destroy everything good in my life twice over. Because here's what I'll do, guys. I'll drink till I can stand that no more. Then I'll get sober till I can stand this no more. Then I'll get drunk till I can stand that no more. Sober, drunk, sober. Before you know it, there goes another decade of my life. Because another 10 years, where'd they go? And left in my path the wake of destruction a mile wide, because I blow like a tornado through the lives of everyone who loves me, and wake up maybe yet again, maybe if I'm lucky, in another nut house, another detox, another rehab, wondering what happened. Where'd everybody go? Where'd my friends? My family's not answering. And I'm tired. I'm getting tired. Tired of walking out of these places trying to build something out of nothing again. Rising from the ashes again. Nothing. All by myself. Our stories disclosed in a general way. Real simple directions, right? Our stories disclosed in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, what we're like now. For me, the end is November 2001. I'm a walking shell of the man I used to be. I'm unemployed and unemployable again. This time I'm thrown out of a law firm. My partners, not my bosses, my partners throw me out. 6-figure income gone overnight. I'm trying to put a law practice together by day while I'm walking the streets of Boston at night doing whatever came next to get a drink. Ugly. Ugly. All my friends are gone. I'm by myself up there. I'm running in a crowd, but I'm by myself. You know? Tears in my parents' eyes on a nightly basis put them on my actions, and I'm powerless over stopping. My mom and dad, they're not alcoholic. They suffer from alcoholism. Mine. Brothers and sisters are wonderful people. My God, I'm blessed. At this point in my life, they're scared of me. They don't want me in their houses. I can't see my nieces and nephews. A month before I got sold, my youngest sister, probably the closest person in my life, looks at me and says, I don't even know who you are anymore. How does that happen? How does that happen? What, does the drink strip us of our identities too? I lose that too? Every bit of potential ambition and drive I once had are gone. I can't even get out of bed unless there's a bottle or a pipe waiting for me. I can't move. Honor and dignity are lost in the dust of my addiction. Morals and values are warped beyond any sense of recognition. I don't know who I am. You guys have no clue. My bottle's empty, my bottle's empty, my wallet's empty, my pipe's empty, my life's empty. It's empty. I'm living, one might say, to drink again. My last night out there, it was Wednesday night, November 14, 2001. A night like any other for me. I popped an 8-ball, smoked it, banged back a fifth of tequila so I could forget about you and the rest of the world. And I closed some dive bar up in Lowell, Massachusetts, like I closed every bar I've ever been in. Lights are flashing, Dave, you gotta go, you gotta go. Get out of the bathroom, Dave, you gotta go. 2 in the morning, you gotta go. I walk up to the bar and I said to her, it's 2 o'clock already, huh? I grabbed my drink, I kicked back that last sip, and I put that empty glass down the bar. And from that moment, that back empty glass hit that bar, from that moment to this, I've been living a plan not my own. I had no idea that was going to be my last drink today. I had no idea. I didn't know. It's not my plan. From that, if I known that was going to be my last drink, trust me, I would have ordered 2. One for the road. Wait a minute. I got a long road. Come here, back here. From that moment to this, I've been living a plan not my own. From the moment that empty glass hit that bar, I didn't plot this path, design this destiny, chart the course I've been walking for 12 years, 11 months, and a few days. I did not do this. It's not my plan. My plan was to get up the next morning and just get up and do it all over again. Scrape up enough money to cop another 8-ball, scrape up enough money to buy another bottle, and go find myself lost in the oblivion of a drink one more night ago. That was my plan. That's all I knew. That's all I had going. However short-lived the relief was, I was seeking it. God had another plan. I went home that night, passed out, ready to just get up and do it the next morning. And that'll give you a pretty good idea of what this alcoholic was like. Here's what happened. On the morning of Thursday, November 15, 2001, my sobriety date, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to a knock on the door like any other knock I've ever heard in my entire life, and on the other side of the door stood the FBI, the DEA, 2 state and 2 local, looking for me. And my run was over. The end of a long, sad, heart-wrenching, and oftentimes quite despicable run was over. Next thing you know, I'm standing in front of the United States Federal District Court, downtown Boston, Moakley Building. What happened was I was one of 38 guys arrested that morning. The feds arrested 38 men from Miami to Boston. 38 of us were picked up that morning, and 17 of us were in Boston. I was one of the 17. Next thing you know, I'm standing in front of the United States Federal Court District Judge, Chief Judge Mark Wolf, who's looking down at us, telling us the charges with conspiracy to possess and distribute 500 kilograms of cocaine. I buy 8 balls. You got the wrong guy. I should have been so lucky out there. Can I see one? Can I hold one? Let me touch a kilogram. I never seen one. You know what I mean? Should have been so lucky out there. I say, you know what I mean? And the judge is telling us the charges carry, if convicted, 10 to life. And the judge is telling us none of us are getting bail, so don't worry about calling home. And the judge is telling us that we can't even make a phone call for 24 hours in the federal system. And if you were standing there that day shackled next to me, at my ankle, waist, and wrists, 8 Colombians to my left, 8 Colombians to my right, and there's Dave Perry in the middle, it's like, what happened, you know? If you were standing next to me that day, I would have told you this is the worst day of my life. Undisputed, bar none, make no mistake. This is the worst day of my life. With my dad sitting in the back row, devastated and confused as to what he'd done wrong. And how his son got like this. How this has happened. I would have told you the worst day of my life. I don't look at it that way anymore. I came down here in New Haven tonight to tell you guys I don't see it that way anymore. I came down here in New Haven today to let you guys know I probably see that as probably the single greatest event that's ever happened to me. And I'm also here to report to you guys that I believe with every cell in my body, God sent those men. I believe that today. I know that today. I know that today. He had a plan with my name on it. I just kept getting in the way. Every time he tried to kick it into gear, I kept getting in the way. He had to catch my attention. He's got a plan with all your names on it. We all got a plan. We all got a plan. I'm not unique and different. We all got a plan. He's got one for us. We just got to get out of the way long enough to let it kick into gear. My sponsor talks about direct hits. I got a direct hit that day. That was a direct hit. The FBI is a direct hit. Trust me. Good hit. Direct hit. I want to catch your attention. Knock, knock, knock. You know? I'll tell you when the worst day of my life was. I do know that. I can tell you that. It was Saturday, November 17, 2001. 2 days later. And 50 years to the day my mom and dad were married, and 50 years to the day we're celebrating their wedding anniversary back in Reading. Now, the fact I'm not at this party does not make this the worst day of my life. I've missed family events along the way. This is nothing new. You know? The reason why this is the worst day of my life is simply this. I'm in a place called Plymouth County Correctional Facility, downtown Plymouth, Long Pond Road. I'm in a room about 10 times the size of this, 80 bunk beds spread across the place. They call it Newman, where they put us before they put us into our individual cells. 79 strangers frolicking around me as I'm sitting in my bunk. And when I'm doing that night, my whole world's in Reading, celebrating with my parents. I'm sitting on that bunk all by myself, and I'm staring at the payphone. And what I'm realizing for the first time in my life is if I want to walk, get up off that bunk and walk across that room and pick up that receiver, I got no one left. I cannot think of the name of one single solitary person left in my world, in my life, who wants to hear my voice on the other end of that phone and have anything to say back to me. I can't think of one. I can't think of anyone to call. How microscopically small my world had become. And realized it. And realized it. And felt it. That moment. And that's my bottom. Took a while to get there. Took a while to get there. But I found it. I don't want to let it dip any deeper, drop any lower, slide any further. I got it. I was in accident recovery in Baltimore a couple of years ago, and I heard a woman take a podium. She was talking to, she spoke to a room of 300, but I was in the room, and she was talking to me. You know what she said that day? She said, "Hey, have you found that place in your life where you got no place left to go but to God? Are you there yet? Have you realized there's no human power on earth that's going to relieve us of our alcoholism? None. And our job is one thing and one thing only here. We need to find a power by which we can live, and it has to be a power greater than ourselves. Has to be. Now, I don't know what my prayer was that night, standing in that. What was that? I don't know what my prayer was that night. God, what's wrong with me? That's a prayer. But I got answered because 5 days, 6 days later, I got pulled out of that cell, brought back before that judge. I'm here but for the grace of God and the compassion of the federal government. They gave me an opportunity to find my recovery if I wanted it. Needing it meant absolutely nothing. Of course, I needed it. Wanting it's everything. And with the gift of desperation that came as a result of that arrest, I wanted this. The charges weren't going away. He made that clear, but it let me get better in the meantime. Okay, so I spent the next 10 days in detox, next 4.5 months in a Miller house down the Cape, all the while in the federal supervision, off to a halfway house in Boston, 2 blocks from the courthouse I used to appear in. I'm now living in a halfway house, onto a sober house. And for the first 8 months of my sobriety, just like those 12 years prior to that, you guys, miserable. Miserable. Sentence to sobriety, ugly, miserable sobriety. The only thing to keep me sober, one thing and one thing only, fear. You see, if I picked up a drink, the federal master's picking me up and I'm going back to Plymouth. I'm afraid. I don't want that. You know, so I'm staying sober despite the fact I don't want to be. If I ever needed a drink, it was during those 8 months. And on July 21st, 8 months into it, 2002, God had yet another miracle in store for me, because another miracle happened. You know, an old friend of mine, I'll tell you the story. His name was Steve. A lot of you guys know him. Steve was a friend of mine back in Boston. He stayed sober for 8 years while I was in and out during those 12 years. He stayed sober 8 years, stock rating sober, no recovery, no steps, no sponsor, no program recovery. And in 1997, 8 years sober, he got sick. And he had to leave Boston. He had to fly back to Baltimore and move back with his family. He needed help. And on a Monday night, he went to a meeting in a town called Elkton, Maryland, and he heard a man take a podium. That man was the late, great Tom Flynn. And Tom took the podium that night. This man carried a message, not thousands, tens of thousands of lives this man touched in his 30 years sober. Mine one of them. And he carried a message that night that my friend Steve walked up to him at the end of that meeting and said, I've never heard anyone talk like you're talking, say it like you're saying it, doing it like you're doing it. Will you show, I'm 8 years sober, he said, I've never heard this. Will you show me, please show me what you're talking about. And that's the day my friend Steve turned his ugly, miserable sobriety into recovery and started walking down this path. I don't know that's going on in Baltimore. I'm not paying attention to Steve. I got a crack pipe and a bottle in my house, in my hand back in Boston, paying no attention to my friend down in Baltimore. But he was paying attention to me. He was watching me, keeping an eye on me, through my sisters, making sure I wasn't showing up dead. And on July 21st, he was coming up to Boston. He called me a couple days prior. It went like this: Hey Dave, my sister's got a cottage up in Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. I got 3 days off from work. I'm flying up Sunday, July 21st, 2002. I'm going to go up to the lake for 3 days. Want to go? You know, seconds and inches, huh? How our lives can turn in seconds and inches. What if I said no, didn't feel like it, didn't have the time, didn't want to? Any of those were the case, I wouldn't be here today. I guarantee you I wouldn't be here today. I thought it was a little vacation with an old friend. 3 days at the lake. I had no idea God was sending me my sponsor. Flying him right up to Baltimore. So I get in the car with him. I pick him up that morning, 9 o'clock, Sunday morning, July 21st, 2002, Logan Airport. He gets in my car. I look at him. He looks at me. I look at him again. This guy's looking different, sounding different, acting different. He's inexplicably different. There's something about his eyes, fresh skin and glowing. The guy's on fire. The exact same experience Bill Wilson described at the end of that bleak November in 1934 is the exact, whenever he came to dinner, is exactly what was going on in my car that morning. This guy was different. This guy was on fire. There was something about this guy I wanted. And within 15 minutes of talking to him, he gave me the greatest gift that one alcoholic can give another. A little bit of hope. It's all we're looking for, isn't it? We come in hopeless. I need a little bit of hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I get what he had. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I could feel like he felt. Hope that maybe, just maybe, my crumbling life might finally start coming. Hope that maybe, just maybe, I get set free. Maybe. Hope. Hope. It was attractive. You guys, he talked about this big book like it had a heartbeat. He talked about God like he just came from having lunch with the guy. You know what I mean? It was powerful, it was attractive, it was cool. You know? And he said, I said, you know, you're talking about these steps, Steve, aren't you? He goes, yeah, I'm talking about these steps. I go, when do you want me to start these? He goes, when do you want to recover? When do you want to stop hurting? When do you want the pain to end? When do you want to start feeling better? When do you want to get set free? I go, I'm only 8 months, Steve. Should I wait a little while? He goes, wait, where are you coming up with that weight? No, you don't have to wait. Nowhere in our literature, history, nowhere in our books, nowhere in Alcoholics Anonymous, nowhere in this big book that say you need to wait. Matter of fact, it says just the opposite. If you decide you want what we have and you're willing to go to any length to get it, you're ready. You're ready. How clear does it have to be? I don't care if you're throwing up from your last drink. If you decide you want what we have and you're willing to go to any length to get it, wipe off your mouth and let's get going. Let's get started. That's what we go by. That's what this is all about. You know? I said to him, oh, Steve, you're only 8 months into it, man. I said, wait a minute, what if I make a mistake? He goes, make a mistake? He goes, how long did you drink for, David? I said, 26 years, Steve. He goes, a little late to worry about a mistake, isn't it? Jesus Christ, let's go. He goes, how long, man? How long are you going to let your half measures avail you nothing? I'm watching 12 years of half measures. You're coming up nil. Nothing. How long are you going to let your old ideas kill you? They're virtually killing you. Results keep coming up nil, Dave. Your old ideas, let them go. How long are you going to hold on to them? How many times, Dave, are you going to stand at the turning point just to walk away like you've done for so many years? How many years, Dave, are you going to come to a 12-step program and ignore the 12 steps? How long? How long? In my case, 12 years, just my lucky number, you know what I mean? You know, how long? But I said to him, I go, Steve, I hear what you're saying. You know, but you heard my story, man. I said, I got real life problems. I got federal charges hanging over my head that carry 10 to life. I'm going to get disbarred from the practice of law. I don't have a friend left in the world. My parents are in tears. My brothers and sisters still aren't letting me in their houses. Nobody's trusting me. I don't got a cent left in the bank. I'm unemployed, unemployable. I'm living in a halfway house 2 blocks from the courthouse I used to appear in. I got real life problems out here. I got real life problems going on. This guy's coming to me with prayers and inventories. I'm looking for lawyers and loans, you know what I mean? I got real life shit going on out there, you know? I said, how is this going to work? How is this going to solve these problems, man? Stop it, Steve. Stop. Look at what I'm telling you. He goes, I get it. I get it. You got walls up everywhere. Walls up between you and your family. Walls up between you and your friends. Walls up between you and your finances. Walls up between you and your career. Walls up between you and the law. I get it. You got walls up everywhere. But what I'm going to tell you is this, Dave. If you just listen to me, if you just let me show you, not tell you, show you how to do this. If you just start walking down this path and start taking some action you don't understand, agree with, or believe in, let me just show you this, Dave. Let me tell you how this thing works and show you how to put it into action. I guarantee you, I'm going to promise you, one by one, by one, by one, by one, by one, by one, every one of those walls are going to come crashing down. And the most amazing part of it is this, Dave. You will have nothing to do with it. I'm going to show you a way that you're going to learn if you just follow us. Trust me till you can trust God. I'm going to show you a way to stay about God's business and let God take care of yours. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to show you that. And if you walk with me, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm here to report to you guys this day, 12 years, 11 months, and a few days later, everything that man promised me, every bit of it has come true. He was spot on with every bit of it. And today, every one of those walls are gone. They're gone. None exist. But I said to him, I go, I'm still not ready for this. I said, these steps, I see them on the wall, there they are. Every meeting I go, stare me in the face. I don't understand how these steps work, don't agree. I don't believe that. I said, how do you do these steps? You don't understand them. How do you do these steps? You don't agree with them. How do you do these steps? You don't believe they're going to work for you. He says, David, that's just it, man. You don't have to understand them, but you believe they're going to work. Well, how do you do them? He says, all you have to do is simply become willing to follow a person who's already done them. The greatest promise in this book is on page 58. Rarely we've seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Can you walk behind me down the path? He said. Can you stay 3 feet behind me down the path? You don't got to say what I say. You don't got to think what I think. But if you do what I do, you're going to get what I got. Because this is the program of action. Your recovery's not in your head. It's not what you think. It's not what you hear. It's not what you see. It's not what you say. It's not what you read. It's not what you study. It's all about what you do. Or in your case, Dave, what you haven't done. There's actions we've taken here, and you've taken none. Walk with me. Let me show you. And that's the day, guys, I turned my ugly, miserable sobriety into recovery, and everything started to change. Immediate action will get you immediate results. By 3 that afternoon, I'm turning to page 63, and I'm taking the 3rd step. The most powerfully life-changing prayer I've ever said in my entire life is on page 63 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today I became an agent of God. Secret agents of God. That's all we are. Just agents of God. Jumping in our cars and running here and there and carrying a message. Up and away. Here we go. Where we going next? That's what we do. How about the 5 words that changed my life? Page 63. We took on a new employer. I got a new boss. I took him on that day. I signed up for a job that day. I took a job that day. I told God, I offered myself to God, I want to work for you. I had no idea the impact. Today I do. I'm here to take your invitation. Thanks very much, seriously, for having me. But to be honest, God sent me. I'm just doing my 3rd step. I'm showing up for work. This morning I got on my knees, like I do, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. God, what would you have me do today? What's my to-do list? Punching in. I'm punching in, God. What's up today? I'm on the clock. He told me, get in the car, grab up Nick, and drive out to New Haven. I want you to carry my message to my kids out there. Carry the message. I go, I'll tell them, I'll do that. What do you want me to tell them when I get there? He says, I'll tell you when you get there. Just get there. Your job is to just show up. That's it. That's it. You know, I got in the car at the end of that. My sponsor looks at me, I look at him, he goes, that's awesome. I go, Stevie, third step down. Let's go grab some dinner. He goes, let's grab a notebook. Drove me to a country store, came out. I started writing a 4-step. The man stood over me. Resentment, fear, sex, conduct. I put it all down on paper. 3 hours later, I was done. 3 hours, man. You can't do that. You can't do a 4-step. Well, color me wrong, but color me recovered. Ha! It worked. You know? Spent the next 2 days reading my sponsor, my 5th step. Only problem is now he's got me we're back at Logan. Our 3 days are up. He's flying home to Baltimore. I'm there, whoa, wait, how are you going to sponsor me from Boston to Baltimore? How are you going to do that? Don't you have to pick me up, give me rides, lend me money, buy me cigarettes? How are you going to do that from Boston to Baltimore? I'm getting gypped, you know? Getting gypped! You know what he did? He pulls me close, he takes this book, he slides it under my arm, and he whispers 2 words in my ear. He says, Dave, let's trust God. We can do this. Trust God. I got to go home, and you got to fly. I got to drop you from the nest, and you got to fly. You see, Dave, you've had it wrong for so long. You think you got to get your life in order before you can go out there and help God's other kids? No. You got to get out there and help God's other kids to get your life in order. I'm a firm believer. You got 1 day of sobriety. Show the guy with no days how you got 1. 7 days. Show the guy with 2. Can you show him how you got 7? 4 weeks. There's a girl with 2 weeks. Can you show her how you got 4? Now, don't take them through the steps yet if you haven't been. You know, wait on that. But my God, can you reach your hand out now? It starts now. It begins now. If you said, want to get to know God? Get to know His kids. Hang with His kids. Run with His kids. You're going to see God, feel God, and hear God in places you never saw, felt, and heard Him before when you run with His kids. Simple as that. You know? It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to take this in for a landing. Can you give me a couple more minutes? Just let me finish for you guys. I don't like to go over. And that's what I started to do. We did the rest of the steps over the phone. Over the phone. Boston to Baltimore. A man armed with the facts about himself and experience with the 12 steps. 3 weeks later, we were done. And guess what happened? 3 weeks into it. It's 3 weeks. I started to get that spiritual awakening. The one that I told you, the only thing that will overcome this illness, spiritual experience, I started to get it. My spirit that was so dead when I got here, flatline dead, standing in the courtroom shackled at the waist length, ankles and arms with my dad in the back row, that spirit that was so dead that day, slowly started to come alive and awake. Not the way I see, saw, read, studied, but rather by what I started to do. I started to move my feet. I started to reach out to God to the kids when I didn't know how to do it. Didn't know what I was doing, and I started doing it anyway. You know? And that spirit that was so dead when I got here slowly started to come alive and awake. And my sponsor made it clear. He said, every day is a day, Dave. Every day is a day you have to carry the vision of God's will into all your activities. I don't stay clean on yesterday's shower, fed on yesterday's meal. I don't stay physically fit on yesterday's workout at the gym. And I don't stay spiritually fit on yesterday's action. If I want it today, I got to do it today. And it's just that simple. There are things to do every day. This is not a program for lazy people. It's just not. But whether you do a little bit or a lot, whether I do a little bit or a lot, I get to stay spiritually fit. And when I'm spiritually fit, guys, check this out. When I'm spiritually fit, there's nothing for a drink to fix. And I ain't looking for one. I'm okay. I don't need to get fixed today. I don't need that pipe today. I don't need that bottle today. I don't need that barroom today. I don't need a fifth in my hand today. I'm okay. I like the world around me and me in it, just the way it is today. Because I stay spiritually fit. And the greatest miracle, I'll tell you exactly what it is, the greatest miracle. My obsession to drink and drug. Bar none, the most powerfully destructive force in my life. My obsession to drink and drug, that obsession, is gone. It's been lifted. I'm not here tonight fighting the fight. I'm not here tonight hanging in. No monkey on my back. I'm not shooting for midnight. I've been set free. How, when, where, when? What day? When? When between July 21st, 2002 and here we are right now, what did it say, October 4th? 2014. When in that time frame I wake up and go, my God, the obsession's gone. When? What day? Don't know. Have no idea. No clue. You know why? I had nothing to do with it. The 10 steps says that. That's the miracle of it. Just happens. My sponsor said, you stay about God's business, He'll take care of yours. One day when I wasn't looking, one day when I was out there carrying the message, one day when I was working one-on-one, one day whenever, when I wasn't looking, He took it. And it hasn't been back since. My sponsor's got me on the 12th step. We're 3 weeks into it. He's got me on the phone. He's in Baltimore, I'm in Boston. It's a Tuesday night. He says, what are you doing, Dave? I go, I'm getting ready to go to a meeting, Steve. He goes, where are you going? I'm going to go down to Newberry Street tonight. I said, okay, what's up with that? I go, I'm going to a meeting. He goes, okay, here's what I want you to do. You ready for a little direction? I'll tell you the truth, you guys. When I'm with my sponsors this very day, all these years later, when that man talks, I still shut up and listen. I still want what he's got. He's got me on the phone. He says, okay, you want a little direction? Here's what I want you to do tonight. He says, Dave, tonight when you walk into that meeting, instead of you walking into that meeting looking to see what you can take, because God knows you've been taking all your life. How about tonight, Dave, you walk in that meeting looking to see what you can bring. He goes, I want you to walk in that meeting. I want you to find that new guy in the corner who's all by himself and let him know. Let him know he never has to be alone again. Find that girl, 3rd row, 2nd seat in, shaking away. And let her know she never has to feel that way again. He goes, I want you to start talking about recovery. I want you to start talking about these steps. I want you to start talking about these actions we've been taking for these last 3 weeks. He goes, I want you to start talking about your recovery. I want you to start talking about this big book. I want you to start talking about God. You know what I want you to do tonight, Dave? I want you to walk into that meeting. I don't want you walking out till you find a man to sponsor. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I go, a sponsor? I'm 3 weeks into this. 3 weeks, Steve. You're down there in Baltimore with Tom Flynn and a big book next to you every night, running around down there. I can't say it like you say. I don't know it like you know, and I'm not ready for that. My goodness, Steve, I can't say it and talk the way you say and talk. I'm not ready for this. Come on, Steve. I'm not ready. I'm not experienced. I'm not qualified. He says, David, I know you're not qualified, and you know you're not qualified, but that new guy in the corner's got no clue you're not qualified. Now get over there and help him. And the guy's right. He's got no clue. I got no clue. I got no clue. You know what I got? I got my hand out. And that's all he sees. Because the fact of the matter is, I am no more qualified than anyone in this room to carry this message. I'm no more qualified than anyone in this room. My sponsor with his 25 years, my grand sponsor with his 108 years, or whatever that white-haired guy had before he passed, my goodness. Why? Because God does not look for qualified men and women to carry His message. He looks for the willing. Are you willing? As Tom said to me, I don't know how many times, are you a faithful trustee of the gift? Or do you got the busies? He's got the what's the matter, Dave? You got the busies who chasing the money, the property, the prestige. You had those before. They fill the hole. He said, besides, Dave, I saw when you got out of the nut house. You didn't look too busy to me that day. Let's go. You know? Ray's right. Fresh out of detox. Nothing to do all day long. So what's my message? Simple. We have a solution, guys. The victory. It's already happened. June 10th, 1935, 2 strangers found their way to a kitchen table in Akron, Ohio. One alcoholic reached out to another, sole purpose recovery. Conversation started that day that's going on, this very moment, this very minute, this very second, this very room. Rooms like it all over the world. The only decision you need to make, if you haven't made it already, is whether you want to take part, experience, and live a wholesale miracle in your life that's already happening in millions and millions of ours. Are you in a dark place drinking today? Welcome. It's cool. Stick around. Are you in a dark place sober? Oh my God, welcome. I can get you. I got you. Been there. We can walk you out of the darkness and into the sunlight and show you a world you never knew existed. We'll show you, not tell you. We'll show you. Our lives depend upon it. I pray you found that. You know, I've known Greg and a lot of the guys in this room for a long time. Over 10 years now. And I have been waiting for the moment where I can take a podium and tell you what I'm about to tell you. I speak a lot in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm asked to go in a lot of places. I'm blessed that way and I'm lucky. Back at home and around wherever. And of all the years I've spoken, what I'm about to tell you, I've been waiting to tell you. I have not told anyone yet. You know we get miracles in this deal? We have miracles. We don't get a monopoly on it, but we get our fair share. You know? October 22nd, 2003, I stood before that court in front of Judge Wolf. It was my sentencing day. I pleaded guilty to those charges because I was guilty of those charges. And And the United States prosecutor was a guy named Patrick Hamilton. And the U.S. attorney that day, Patrick Hamilton, came into court on sentencing that day. I got my parents, my family, guys I sponsor and run with from my house, my halfway house, my sober house, AA, my group, my sponsor. The courtroom was packed. And Hamilton gets up, Mr. Hamilton gets up, and he says to the judge that day, he goes, Mr. Perry's guidelines, the federal sentencing guidelines for his charges fall anywhere between 24 and 30 months incarceration, 2.5 years in a federal prison. And he came to court that day ready to ask the judge for that. And after he got done speaking, Judge Wolf looks at him and he goes, no, Mr. Hamilton, not today. It seems by the stack of letters that I have before me and the dozens of people that are behind Mr. Perry in this room today, he seems to be having a bit of an impact on the recovery community here in Boston. It only makes sense to me that we leave him on the street doing what he's doing, then send him to Indiana to put him in a federal penitentiary for 2.5 years. And he placed me on 5 years probation. 4 months later, the Massachusetts Bar Association took my license to practice. I got disbarred. It was only right. 5 years probation came and went without a problem. It's 10 years later now. Remember I told you the worst day of my life was Saturday, November 17, 2001, 50 years today. My mom and dad were married in 50 years today. We celebrated their wedding anniversary back in Reading. In 6 weeks we'll celebrate their 63rd. And I've been with them for everyone since. Showing up and honoring my parents. Just by showing up. That's all they've ever wanted. I get to show up. But what I've come here to tell you guys that I haven't been able to tell anybody up to this point is, 8 days ago on Friday, my attorney called me and told me that the Massachusetts Bar Association and the Supreme Judicial Court has voted to reinstate me to practice law. I'm getting it back. We get things back. We get to recover. Sanity, freedom, and ourselves. And things, I guess. You know? A lot goes on in here. Don't miss it. You're sitting on the sidelines suffering, don't suffer. We don't have to. Come to us, walk to us, tell us. We'll show you how to get this done. You know? It's been great coming down here to see you guys. Thanks for letting me go over a little bit. And thank you so much for having me and Nick.